Welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be doing a little bit more on the garage door artwork project. I got a little bit ahead of myself. I didn't do any kind of videoing on this part yet, but well, you can see I got a start on an old a little bit of the stuff. I've got the basics of where Farrah Fawcett's going to go up there in that gray area there. That's going to be the poster with her in it, and I've got a bottle of the old Poly B outboard motor oil that I used to buy back in the 70s to put in my Kawasaki because I didn't have enough money to buy the proper Bardol stuff that everybody else was getting. But hey, after a couple of years of buying that stuff, it started to say on the back of the bottle it was excellent for motorcycle oil injection systems. So I kept on using it. Anyway, went through a lot of spark plugs back in those days, probably because of that stuff. But anyway, I shall carry on. Like I say, I'm going to start putting Farrah up there. I'm thinking that maybe somewhere on here I should have... I should put one of those Norton posters with Vivian Neves in it as well. I mean, it would be a good tribute to her to have something like that on here somewhere. Maybe on one of the garage doors or something. But anyway, let's get going with this. Okay, well, as I mentioned, I got this started. I just want to touch up those letters on the Poly B a little bit there. And I got Farrah Fawcett kind of very roughly sketched out up there, but I'm going to start by doing the background on this one up here and just touching up that Poly B stuff on the old oil can that's on the shelf. There'll be a whole lot more of them oil cans and pieces of junk and odds and ends sitting there, so that's just to get me started. But the actual picture of Farrah Fawcett that I'm working from is that famous one with the red bathing suit. So I have the actual photo I'm working from on the phone, so I'm not going to be able to hyperlapse the whole thing, but I'll start with the background first, and that'll get me going, and then it'll have to be step-by-step process as I go through it. So anyway, right now we're going into warp drive, so we'll go into hyperlapse, so stand by for that. Well, that's about, what time is it? About an hour and a half's work, getting that background in there. But I got a lot to do to get her in there and get her looking right. I'm not that good at human figures, so this will be good practice for me anyway. So we'll see how that goes when I get around to doing that. Okay. Well, that's coming along. There's my version of Farrah Fawcett up there in the left corner. So I'm pretty happy with that. It's far from perfect, and I don't want to spend another 3-4 hours getting that just so. I could have had her head tilted back a little further, that sort of thing. But anyway, it doesn't look exactly like her, but it looks something like her. People will get the general idea anyway. Now, what will I do next? I don't know yet, so I'll have to think about that. There, that represents today's efforts. I've been plunking away out here for about 4 hours on this. I've got the girl in the poster done. I've added a can of Bardol oil injection oil that they used to sell back in the 70s, the stuff I couldn't afford. That's why I used the Poly B. Anyway, I'll just carry on, see what else I get done this week. Okay, I've been working again, doing a little more work on that on the garage door decor. Anyways, I did a little bit of a retouch on that poster. Got that looking a little bit better. And I added the CZ badge underneath that, screwed to the wall. So anyway, CZ was that's the badge for the first bike I ever owned in my life. They used to sell CZ out of the Eaton's catalog, which was the Canadian version of Sears. Sears used to sell Gilera, where Eaton's used to sell CZ. So anyway, yeah, it took quite a bit of research to figure out where my old bike actually came from, but I'm quite sure that's the story behind that. Signal lights on it and everything, which was unusual for that particular make and model. Anyway, I'll get on with this another day now and do some more. When the spirit moves me, I may do a bit more work on the Panther tomorrow. I don't know, or maybe the boss has got other plans for me. I know I have a dental in the morning, but see what the rest of the day brings. Good night, Farrah. Okay. Well, I want to show you what I want to do next on this grand tour. I have this modern copy of an old poster or sign. And I thought that, well, that's great decor for in the garage, although I haven't done it correctly. That's the one room in the house that my wife lets me do pretty much whatever I want. Anyway, of course, if this is going to be on the garage door, then it has to be smaller because the garage door is further back in the distance than this would be. So this piece of paper just happens to be, I think, not exactly the right size for that. So if I was to put that look like this and up there to get these places, that would be both that size and that in there. And the other markers will just draw around the edges of that piece of paper and then start working on getting that sort of an image in there. So let's start it with that. Well, I have to apologize because I know you can't see that very well, if you can see it at all. But I've got this outline in black marker, and like I say, it's hard to see against the dark areas of the wall. But I've got the rider on the motorcycle, the Norton emblem, and all that stuff kind of roughed in there a little bit. I'm going to use a white underpainting for the center of this, and that gray brown for the bottom and the top, because that might help with that area that is that darker blue here. So I'm going to put you on warp drive, and you can watch that silly little process of just painting that in, and then you'll be able to see where that sign is going to go. All right, well, now you've got at least a general idea of where that's going. And I think the proportion ought to be about right for that. When I get the blue in there and all that stuff, and of course then I'll have to indicate some shadows on the garage door like behind it, especially on the part that would be about 3/4 of an inch out past this part of the door. Oh, I don't know if this part of the door right here. I didn't have the camera pointed in the right direction. Anyway, that's a start. I have to wait for the paint to dry before I can do anything else. Or I'll just be dragging that color around with the color I'm trying to put on it. So I'll do something else while I'm waiting for that to dry. Well, that little guy is what I put on there while I was waiting for this paint to dry up there on that sign. And I want this to look like chrome, right? By the way, I had quite a few Suzukis in my life. A Suzuki is what made that CZ go like a son of a bitch. I had a motorcycle, when I got that bike first, I had a motorcycle that would go 55 miles an hour flat out laying on the gas tank. I put a Suzuki 185 twin engine in it. And then I had a motorcycle that would go 85 miles an hour flat out with someone on the back. So anyway, yeah, I've had quite a few Suzukis in my time, and I've worked on a lot of them. Quite fond of Suzukis. But, anyway, that's there, and I want it to look like chrome. So the thing I mentioned about chrome before was that chrome was mostly about reflections, right? So you got to know what's going to be reflected in that chrome. Now that's going to be to look like it's sitting in that corner on that little shelf there. So I have with me a mirror. By the way, thanks Vince for these mirrors. They're real nice old vintage type mirrors. They don't fold up like the more modern halcyon type do and that sort of thing, but they're a bare end. And yeah, I like these. They're pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to lay that on about the angle that would be sitting at. And of course, it depends on your point of view too, about what you're going to see in that reflection. But I can catch a little bit of the light up there in it, the tube light. So there's going to be definitely a couple of white streaks through it, and a couple of darker streaks going that way from the trusses up there in the roof of the garage. So that gives me an idea of what I want to paint in there. So I'm going to get busy with that now. So I'll put you on warp drive for that one too. Well, that's a start on that S there, but to be honest with you, I'm not really that enthralled with it. I think I'm going to have to work on that a little bit more to get those reflections a little bit more the way they should be. I think I've got too much dark and not enough light in it. Like I can see where the two lights are, and I kind of like that. Maybe I've gone too far with the reflections. Anyway, I'm going to carry on working on that little Suzuki S, and I can. This is probably dry now, so after lunch I can start working and getting a little more detail into that Norton sign. Okay, we'll get the Norton sign done and that little Suzuki crest on up there, so that's pretty good for today, I think. The app on my camera actually timed out, and I was trying to record the whole process of doing the darn thing, but it didn't record the whole thing. Well, that's all right. But, anyway, it's a painting. It's pretty good, I think. Anyway, in my opinion, it's pretty good. So yeah, let's go back, take a whole look at the whole thing so far. Yeah, it's coming along pretty good. I may do one or two other little things, but I want to do a little bit more work on the Panther maybe tomorrow. So I think I'm going to call that done for this week. So thanks for watching. Hope I didn't bore you too much. Anyways, if you like this kind of stuff, please click like and subscribe. That would really help the channel. There's like, I think over 70% of the people who watch these videos are not subscribed. And hey, it doesn't cost you a penny. I put out something new at least once a week. So if you want to see what's going on in the shop here, just subscribe. So again, thanks for watching. Be good to each other, and I'll be back next week.